At 27, I never imagined I'd be fighting my own family for something as sacred as my grandparents' legacy. But last week, I found myself facing a battle I wasn't prepared for, one where loyalty, love, and trust were on the line. If you've ever wondered how far your family would go to get what they want, you're going to want to hear this story. Hi, I'm Olivia Morgan, and this is the fight of my life to protect my grandparents' $3 million estate from the very people who should have been the ones standing beside me. Trust me, this isn't your average family drama. Stay with me as I reveal how the people I thought I could trust tried to take everything from me and what I did to make sure they didn't win. It started with a phone call. My parents and sister showed up at my doorstep, their faces wearing that too perfect grin. They handed me a piece of paper. "We've signed the house over to Dad's name. You're out by Friday." I stared at them, half in disbelief. They thought I'd just pack up and leave, but I wasn't about to let them get away with this. What happened next? Well, their smiles disappeared when they saw who was waiting for them at the door. I'll let you in on that soon, but first, let's rewind a little bit. My grandparents, Harold and Martha Morgan, were my true family. They didn't just take me in, they raised me, shaped me into who I am today. My parents, Richard and Elaine, left me behind at the age of 5 to chase whatever fleeting opportunity seemed to catch their eye. I never saw them as anything but strangers who dipped in and out of my life when it suited them. My grandparents didn't spoil me. They didn't need to. They gave me something much more valuable, their time. Grandpa taught me how to fish when I was young, patiently untangling my mistakes with a smile. Grandma woke me every morning with the smell of fresh-baked muffins and called me little lawyer long before I even thought about law school. It wasn't just the house. It was home. Every corner of that Victorian house told the story of love, sacrifice, and history. My grandparents built a life with values that would eventually protect their legacy and mine. Grandpa always said, "Your word is your bond, Olivia. Break it and you lose something you can't buy back." But then there were my biological parents, Richard and Elaine. They were always in some financial mess, jumping from one failed business venture to the next, chasing money, but never finding it. And somehow, I was supposed to just keep coming back, cleaning up their mess and playing the good daughter. They only called when they needed something. Money, access to Grandpa's investments, gifts. Every visit was the same, a mix of exaggerated affection and passive-aggressive questions about how Grandpa's estate was doing. They were always just curious. And that curiosity came with a price one I was tired of paying. But it wasn't until I became a lawyer that I realized how serious the situation was. My grandparents' health was starting to decline, and with every hospital visit, my parents called more often. Suddenly they were concerned about Grandpa's health, about Grandma's mental state, and about the house. But I wasn't fooled. They were trying to position themselves for a takeover. That's when I realized I needed to act. I began to study elder law, not just as a career choice, but because I wanted to understand how to protect the people I loved, how to stop someone from taking advantage of them when they were most vulnerable. I knew that the only way to protect my grandparents was to create a trust one that couldn't be touched by anyone, not even family. So I met with Nancy Hoffman, an elder law specialist. After going over their financial records and hearing my concerns, she confirmed what I feared. My parents were planning something shady, and if I didn't act fast, they could take everything. 3 days later, we set up the Morgan Family Trust. The terms were simple. My grandparents would retain control during their lives, but after they passed, I would take control. The house, their investments, everything that mattered to them would be protected. We kept it secret. No one knew, especially not my parents. As the months passed, Grandpa's health worsened. But it wasn't just his health that deteriorated, something inside me did too. Watching my parents appear out of nowhere, acting like they cared, knowing they were just waiting for the moment Grandpa passed. It was sickening. One evening, I overheard my parents planning. They thought I was asleep, but I heard every word. Once he's gone, we can move fast. Olivia won't stand in our way. We'll offer her a small sum, maybe, to keep quiet. They had no idea what they were up against. As Grandpa's condition worsened, he grew weaker. But one night, as I sat with him, he grabbed my hand. His voice was barely above a whisper. "Promise me, Olivia. Protect your grandmother. Protect this house. It's not just property. It's our history." His grip tightened as he spoke. His eyes filled with that quiet wisdom I'd always admired. Richard never understood that. He sees money, but this house is our family's heart. I promised him, and I meant it. Grandpa passed away a few days later, and just as I'd expected, my parents and sister showed up at the funeral late, dressed inappropriately, and only sticking around for long enough to see if they could get anything out of it. But they didn't know I was ready. The trust was ironclad, and there was no way they could manipulate me this time. 2 weeks later, they showed up at the house again, pretending to grieve, trying to convince me to sell the house. They wanted me to move on. They even tried offering me a chunk of the inheritance, hoping I'd take the money and disappear. But I wasn't fooled. Not this time. The house was mine to protect. The legacy my grandparents left me was mine to carry forward. And I wasn't about to let them destroy it. My grandparents left me more than just a house. They left me the lessons that built the woman I am today. I'll honor them by protecting what they built and by never letting anyone take what isn't theirs. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've ever faced betrayal from those you loved most, I'd love to hear from you. What would you do in my shoes? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that dig deep into family, trust, and the lengths we go to protect the things that matter.